Just realized I haven't done my profit and loss for November yet, but here we go. We'll go over the numbers. Heads up, not a great month for profit and loss, and I'll go through a couple of reasons why that is. But so in terms of the revenue that comes in, essentially in November, the only thing that were coming in were the recurring memberships, people on weekly memberships. So this doesn't include anyone on 3, 6, or 9, 12 month, doesn't include anyone with that. So the revenue for November came in at about 7,300. And so overall, sounds pretty good. But let's go into a bit of expenses. So if I look at the first expense, which is staffing and wages, that comes out to in November 4,200. So that's pretty average. If anything, that's actually pretty low because I paid myself because I did some of the coaching in November. So 4,200. Go over a couple of different things. So insurance 138, recurring expenses, things that kind of come out every month. That is 5,400. So that's pretty standard. Everything that kind of comes out is regular every month, or I've paid in advance for it. But this essentially is every month actually, not what I paid for in advance. Every month recurring expenses 5,400, and that includes like a $1,800 loan with the previous gym owner, and it also includes the lease for 2,500, all that kind of stuff. So overall, not too bad. In terms of other and one-off expenses, this includes advertising, equipment, all that kind of stuff. That's about 1,900. And owed about $170 in GST based on buying and revenue and stuff, 10% of everything. So if I look at the numbers, the total expenses ended up coming up to 11,900. So if you remember, if I talked about the revenue coming in, 7,300, expenses 11,900. That obviously leaves the profit after that minus 4,500. Pretty shitty, pretty terrible, and we can kind of see what the main driver of that. So revenue 7,000, that really needs to be closer to 10 to 11 or 12,000 each month, but recently that it's been about the 8,000 and people cancel or whatever. Yeah, so ideally not great, but if I look at recurring expenses, that's 46% of my revenue. Staff pay is 36%, and other one-time 16%, all that kind of stuff. So those are all things kind of add up. And if I look at all that kind of thing, in terms of the monthly averages so far, going from, just make sure I got this right. Yeah, monthly averages so far from June. My monthly average, I guess that's not. I'm getting confused with the numbers. Anyway, I need to update this. But yeah, overall, not great in terms of the profit and loss. But if you've seen my other videos, I think I do know that a lot of the overall profit and loss, if there was a profit, it's mainly driven by recurring revenue, but also mainly from the people doing 12-month memberships, and then they all renew in December and January. So when that comes in, and then that's spread over the year, it comes out to about 14,000 in revenue and about 10, 11, 12,000 in expenses per month on average. So obviously November, not a great month in terms of profit and loss, but I am gearing up for December, getting some renewed memberships and going for a Boxing Day sale, and hopefully get most of the people who are currently 12-month members just to renew. If anything, sign other people up. That'll really provide a bit of a buffer, and I'll be able to pay off. I think I might actually be able to almost pay off the loan that I've got with the business, the previous owner. So that'll save me $2,000 a month. But that's the numbers. I keep this spreadsheet of all the details here, going over each of the different things like revenue here, expenses, percentage of expenses, monthly averages. I have to update that, but that's how it's going. I guess if I look at it, the total so far, the total yearly since I've been in has been 50,000 in revenue, which is pretty cool. But if I look at expenses, including everything, has been about 69,000, which is pretty lame if I look at that. So that's like, yeah, essentially minus 19,000 in profit or negative profit. So that's the first time I've looked at that. That's actually pretty bad. I know that if I can get about somewhere between 35,000 in revenue from the from the recurring yearly memberships, that will definitely bump that up and make it positive and probably spread out. But this also, I can see that the monthly revenue for since I took over has definitely been a slightly lower than it always has been previously. So I will see. But if I look at this now and then it's just extended with just the recurring, then my full year will probably be 100,000 revenue, but also, minus 130,000 in expenses and stuff. So definitely at a loss. So I'm doing what I can to bring the members in, get the recurring. If that recurring revenue was closer to 10,000, that would only be a little bit less in profit. And then when the yearly membership renew, then it would be way above. So I don't know. It's pretty lame. Honestly, it's not great to see that, and I have been paying myself a tiny little bit, especially if I've been doing the coaching sessions. But I'm not taking money out of it just because I can, and pay myself just for putting all the time in. So that's not great. So anyway, December, the main focus is renewal of memberships. Get new people into the gym, get that recurring revenue up. And next year, my plan will be have 75 recurring members at the gym. Currently, it's like 55 or something. So having the 75, doing some quick calculations. If I had 75 members and roughly, let's say they were paying on average the rate of kind of like 50, that'd be about 15,000 per month in revenue, which would be by far in profit by multiple thousands. Anyway, that's enough of that.